I'm so glad to have y'all join us. This is Let's Chat, stories of faith that uplift and inspire. And my guests come and share their aha moments, the things that God is doing in their life. And I'm so excited to have my great friend, CATHY Weaver, with us this morning. How are you, CATHY?
I am seriously so excited that you are doing this. And as soon as you said stories of faith that uplift and inspire, I'm like, I don't know what that is, but I'm in.
Well, I think it's just so much when God's working in someone's life and you share that story, when you share your stories, there's someone out there that needs to hear that story, needs to hear how God's faithfulness is there. Because sometimes if you're in a low ebb or, you have challenges going on, it's just nice to hear there's hope at the end of the tunnel there. There is hope. God's still there. I won't use your quote, because I know you're going to tell us. So, CATHY, tell our audience a little bit about you, your family, your kids, that kind of thing, and then we'll get to the business.
Fantastic. I am in the Kansas City area. I've been here forever. I always tell people I was born in Fayetteville, as you're supposed to say it, Fayetteville, North Carolina, 100 years ago. But Kansas City is home base for me always. And my kids are here, which is great. And my granddarlings are here, which is extra great. And it's just it's a wonderful time, in my opinion, to be alive, because everybody talks about change and pivot and all those things. And for me, the change and pivot pieces have been phenomenal. And that's what leads me always to say, you can't outgive God.
Boy, that is so true. Just try it. Anybody, just try to outgive him, and you'll you just can't. His blessings are so powerful and what he does in our lives.
That's right.
So, CATHY, I know because we are great friends, I know how strong your faith is. And I know also that life has not always been easy, but I know who has your back all the time, so God's always there. Tell us a little bit about your journey, and then we'll go into, again, talking about your business, because I know God is definitely in charge of that. So just tell us a little more about, or a little bit about, just your faith journey.
That's fantastic. And these are the pieces when you mentioned that there's someone out there that needs your message. These are the pieces I remember that you said when I was in your coaching class in 2017. And I remember everything about it. I remember where I was sitting, where you were sitting, where the other two girls were sitting. I remember everything.
Wow.
And it was a coaching class that you were holding. And you said, okay, everybody, we're going to tell your story, just like you just now did. And you get to me, and I said, no, I don't do that. And I said, pass. And you go, you can't pass. And I said, well, I pass. I don't talk about my personal stuff. And you just were like, so you went to the next girl and she laid it all out there. You went to the next girl. Oh my gosh. And then you get back to me and you go, okay, it's your turn. And I said, I really do pass. And you go, you can't. So I went through the pieces of the people in my life who have died. And I call it homecoming, by the way, instead of die, because die sounds awful. Homecoming sounds like hallelujah, you know where you get to go next. And so I do call it homecoming. And so when I got to the end of my story, you looked right at my face. And again, I'll never forget this. And you said, you need to write a book about that. And it was April of 2017. Yes, I know that. And I said, who would read it? You looked right at my face and you said, that's not your problem. And I was like, oh my gosh, April of 2017, that I promise that was it. And by July 1st of 2017, I handed you the first copy. And I really mean it. Every single step he had walked me through already. It was already in me from a standpoint of life experience. But I got the cover in 2000, look at that, 2012. I got the crescendo in January of 2017. And then in April of 2017, when I was in the coaching class with you, and you said, let's go. And I thought, oh my gosh. And the rest is literally history. And for me, I had already written a book about networking, because I love networking, Delinda. Did you know that?
I had a little inkling about that. I'm told you go to one or two events a month.
Yeah, okay, or a year, right? A year.
Oh,
But,
absolutely. The
and
the
then the grief and
networking queen
bereavement.
is what I think you are.
Well, thank you very much. And the grief and bereavement piece was not what I thought I would be coaching and training on. But the next thing you know, just like you mentioned at the beginning of the show, sometimes people are blessed by your message. They need to hear your message. There's light at the end of the tunnel, there's hope for all of us. And every single piece of my journey, God drives my bus.
I love that.
And He does. Because I'm able, and first of all, by the way, I bought that domain name because apparently he has decided I'm writing an autobiography. And what is the title? God Drives My Bus. And here we are. It hasn't downloaded in my head yet, but he definitely downloaded the name in my heart. So stay tuned, my friends. GodDrivesMyBus.com will be coming soon.
Oh, I love that. That is so awesome. I've heard you say that so many times. And at some point you had a background, or I've seen where you've got a picture of that.
Yes.
And I think it's great because, and we've all heard this, the song about Jesus take the wheel, right?
Yes,
Which is,
absolutely.
it's just great. And then yours is that next level of take the wheel, but here you're driving the whole bus. Everything in my life, all the seats are filled with the things that we do, right? So it's amazing.
Absolutely. It really is amazing. And that's why I say you can't outgive God. And so I took my book one step further and recorded it on my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Who knew how to do a YouTube channel? Not I. But the good news is it is coming along, as they say. And I am blown away by the people who have responded, commented, private messaged me. He hit the clouds running and never looked back. And I'm just telling you, you can't outgive God. You never know whose life you're going to touch.
That's
How to
right.
hashtag, how to this, how to what. And people find me accidentally. I love that word.
Yeah.
And then they always say, oh my gosh, I never knew da 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 da. And now I can this and that and not feel guilty or whatever that is. And then, of course, because of myfinalfootprints.com was born in October of this past year. And that is part one, telling you what to gather. And part two is you telling that special loved one where everything is and how to proceed on your behalf. So myfinalfootprints.com was born because of he hit the clouds running and never looked back. And quite frankly, my friend, that coach in that room that said, you need to write a book about that, started that whole bus.
Wow. Wow. Well, I'm honored God used me because I didn't know it was that big a deal when I said that. God speaks through us, when we sometimes just don't even know that He is. And I love that how He uses us that way.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Kathy, you have a lot of, I can see your books behind you. So you have several books.
Yes.
Tell us just a few more of the things you do. And then, of course, we want to know, how did you start your business and why did you start your business?
In 2012, my first book was published, and I had been networking since 2007, full time, literally, with my Kangen water business. We'll talk about that in a second. And every time I would go anywhere, people would say, oh my gosh, you're just everywhere. Can you teach me how to network? And I was like, teach you how to network? And I didn't know it was a no thing. And so I said, sure, what do you want to know? And one thing led to another. Will you speak at my group? And will you present to my organization? And will you speak at the chamber? And will you? And I'm just like, what? And so I never knew that networking was a skill set that some people hadn't achieved yet. And so literally, I had you in 2017 to say, go. In 2012, I'm like, Lord, they want PowerPoints, they want verbiage, they want training, they want what? And they want a book. Did you write a book about this? So he hit me in the head with a brick. That's his loving cuddle for me always, is hit me in the head with a brick.
Yeah.
And he said, Catherine, sit. And I was like, oh my gosh, I literally, and this is no lie, I sat down on my computer for 2 days, nonstop, type, move, scoot, edit, all that stuff. And I literally was like, 10,000 words later, I sent my manuscript to the girl who does my business cards and logos and all that stuff. And I said, honey, I think I wrote a book. And she writes back a few hours later and she goes, yep, you did. And I was like, holy, holy, holy moly. And the next thing you know, she created the cover, the graphics, all the stuff inside, some of the charts and all the fabulous something, did the layout, etc. And Networking on Steroids was born. And I thought, oh my goodness, the Lord wrote my book in 2 days. And I say that every time. I say that I've written 4 books now. He's written 4 books now, and he just lets me sign them. And that's the part that works for me because it's true. And then He Hit the Clouds Running was born in 2017. And then I don't know if you know about this, Delinda, but there was a little thing called COVID in 2020 and the world shut down. And all of my groups that I had been in person with chambers and ABWA and BNIs and all kinds of places all over the world, all over the country, and certainly all over Kansas City were shut down. And I thought, I network full time. So what are we going to do? And so I took a lot of my groups that I had been in person and started onlining them. And of course, I started searching on the internet virtual networking groups, and they were popping up like cray cray, honestly, in the 20s and 21 time. And so I found several, but I also found, I know you'll find this interesting, Delinda, but when people are on these Zoom screens, there was need for training. And so I thought, oh my gosh, don't do that. Please don't do that. Turn off your camera, all these different things. So Networking on Steroids, PQ, which stands for post quarantine, was born. And that was published in 2021. And I thought, oh my goodness. And then, like I say, myfinalfootprints.com was born this past October in 2023. So it's just amazing what he does. You see why he drives my bus? Every step has a purpose and a platform and a system and he's just incredible. And that's why I say all the time, you can't outgive God.
Absolutely. And it is, and I think sometimes that we may have people who are watching this have these things in their heart or have it in their mind, and they think, well, like in the one case where you say, well, who's going to read it? The point is, if God puts something in your heart or in your mind, however he speaks to you, just do it. Okay. Don't question it. Just do it, because it's not our responsibility to figure out who's going to read it. And this with all of your books, the thing is your networking books are just so great at helping people get those little things that are so easy to miss. And if you're not one of these I've been networking my whole entire life. I just never knew it. And then when somebody told me, well, we're going to go out and network, I made some real mistakes because I thought I was supposed to do something different when it's really just be yourself, be friendly. Don't try to push things down people's throat, but you make it so clear and so simple that anyone, if they've never been out, and if you're an introvert, it's okay because it's all about them and not about you. And you talk about that. So I think you did an amazing job with that. And really, I know you help hundreds of people. It could be thousands. I'm just saying hundreds, but it's a lot, whatever that is.
Well, we'll keep it at, he puts, every morning, my prayer actually is, dear Lord, put me in the path of someone who needs me. I never know if that's going to be grief and bereavement, how to work a Zoom call, how to network on screen, how to sell Kangen water machines. I never know what that's going to be, but every single day, put me in the path of someone who needs me. And I'm telling you what, you can't outgive God, because he's done that every day, full time, for 16 years. And he never lets me down.
That's so beautiful. I love it. Well, tell us about your water business, to which I'm a grateful recipient as I have one of those wonderful machines. But tell us, I think you have a story. I'd be surprised if you didn't. Matter of fact, I know you do. What is your story on how you started your water business? Miracles with Water. First of all, what a great name. But it is true. I mean, our lives can totally change because of the water we drink. So talk to us.
1,000,000%. And I've been schlepping vitamins, as they say, since 1981. And I have always been and this is just me. So this is disclaimer all over the place as far as whatever you choose to do is great. But for me, I choose not to do pharmaceuticals and Western medicine and those things if I can help it. And so in 1981, I started schlepping vitamins. And so I worked as a rep for this amazing company because I found a product that I loved and I saw what it did for several people in my family. And I thought, well, this is the coolest thing ever. So why not sell these? Oh, yeah. Delinda, when you stock items and garage them, if you will, I feel for me, it is not a win-win circumstance. So, but by golly, I'm going to make this work. My kids were little at the time, and my husband was incredibly supportive. And I'm sure in his brain, he's going, "Oh, Catherine." So here is a bottle of something for $20, and I buy it by the case. So now it only costs me 18. And because of my heart, sometimes you don't have any money, so I just give it to you. So by the time we do the deductions and taxes and all that stuff, most of the time I was in the hole, needless to say. So one time, and I remember this vividly because the number stuck in my head, I got a check from the company, and of course it's all internal workings, for $230. Well, I don't know about your lifestyle, but $230 is not going to fly for me very long, let's just say. But that was the highest I ever made in that company. And so I thought, well, and again, my husband was very supportive and sweet. Oh my gosh, that's so great. Really? And my brain is instantly going, I cannot do this forever. But I also was super proud because my kids went to the pediatrician once a year for well checks, and that's it. And I'm super grateful for that until I released them into the wild when they were in their 20s and married and all that. So the good news is I loved anything nutrition. Adele Davis was a pioneer for me as far as all things health and wellness and all that. So I am at a networking meeting in 2008, and everybody's going around the room. What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? And they get to this one dynamic, amazing couple and affluent, just well groomed, just perfect people looking. And they stood up, smiled at everybody, and said, "We give away free water. Thank you so much." And they sat down.
Oh, wow.
And I went, "Oh, no, 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 no." So I flew over to them when the whole meeting was over. And of course, they're smiling. This ain't their first rodeo. And they knew exactly what they were doing, dangling the carrot. Who's going to bite? CATHY Weaver. And so I said, "Okay, talk to me." And of course, they're smiling. And I said, "How do you give away free water and look like you do? Not to mention afford this luncheon that we just snarfed." And so, so they, of course, said about Enagic, the Kangen Water Company. And they had been in it at that point for 18 months and obviously done incredibly well. What does the machine look like? Here's one of them, by the way, right here. And of course, the biggest question that everyone on the planet asks, what does it taste like? And I'm just going, oh my gosh. And of course, again, they're smiling. This ain't their first rodeo. And they said, "Well, it actually tastes like water." And so I said, "What's so special about it? And would you like to see the machine? Would you like to taste the water?" Of course, yes, 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 yes. Sign me up. Let's go. How do I do this? And one thing led to another. And literally, I went to their home. The machine, this is a different model. This is a newer model that we have was published in 2014 is when it was first released. But the original machine that I bought, literally, I tasted the water, pushed the buttons. They were very gracious. I went to a few meetings, as they call it, in their home to learn more because I researched the heck out of it to the point that I'm sure they were going, "For heaven's sakes, just drink it." And so, yeah, I mean, really, because I am a researcher, I am a skeptic. I should have a sign that says skepticism, welcome here. And I mean, everything. And we didn't even have the internet as we do now for all the Google. I always tell people to go to Google Scholar, and that's where you get the real facts, not Google necessarily, because that's paid ads. But if you go to Google Scholar, you actually get the real information. And I didn't have that back then, or at least I didn't know about it. And so I researched the heck out of it to the point of, please just drink it. And so, needless to say, I bought my machine in September of 2008. And the rest, as they say, is history. In our company, you can DBA, which means doing business as, because Kangen and Enagic are owned by Mr. Oshiro. He's actually on my Miracles with Water page on Facebook because I got to have my picture taken with him at one of the award ceremonies back in 2012. And I literally, oh my gosh, it's the highlight of my career because he is so gracious and bows to us as he's handing you the check. And then I, of course, am just screaming, is there any way we could get a picture taken? And of course, he's smiling like, yeah. The whole thing is amazing. And so DBA, doing business as Lord, remember he drives my bus. That $230 that I made, don't be jealous, you guys. That was all a gift from Jesus, and it only cost me $95 million to make that 230, but I'm loving it. And so, Lord, what am I going to call this business? Already with the kids and all the people that I've already shared it with, there's so many miracles with this water. And I flew up to my office and I typed in miracles with water. Is it available? And the answer is yes. And the rest, as they say, is history. I had the logo made and I contacted a company that does logos. Delinda, you're going to love this part. At the time, we didn't have, in 2008, we didn't have all the Canva and all the fabulous stuff we do now, but I'm still not sure I could have come up with this myself. So I'm working back and forth with this logo artist person, graphic designer. And I said, Miracles with Water is my business. I'd like a water drop with Jesus Christ in the center and the ripple effect. And I want purple, green, and white. Okay. And you could tell I was talking to what did she say? And I want a water drop, Jesus Christ in the center, the ripple effect, purple, green, and white, miracles with water, go. Oh my gosh. I didn't think it sounded hard, but the templates that I got back and forth, you got 9 chances before they fired you and you're done.
Oh.
9 chances. And the 8th one is what you see on the screen.
Oh.
And I was just like, oh my gosh. So Miracles with Water was born. And of course, that's my DBA. And that's when I was like, Lord Jesus, you just can't outgive God.
I love that. What a great story. And Kathy, I'm not sure that I had heard that before. And we've been friends for years now. So I love it. It's cool how, things just pull back and we learn different things from each other all the time. And
absolutely.
Just a wonderful, wonderful thing. So tell me, there's one more story that I have heard. One of your kids was having a skin problem or something, and that really helped you make that decision, if I'm right. Now, is that
absolutely
okay to share?
Yes, we don't cure, treat, diagnose anything. Obviously, it's just water, as they say. And I knew with the testimonials I'd already been listening to with the company, and certainly this dynamic couple that was so gracious to let me in their home, I, of course, wanted to help my kids first. My daughter had, I guess you would call it a health challenge. Again, not life-threatening, of course, but just discomfort perhaps. And she walked into my house and saw the machine and said, what is that? And I said, well, I'm hoping it will help you with that. And she goes, get me one. And I thought, but don't you want to? She goes, Mother, if you're doing it, because she knew my skeptic DNA, if you're doing it, it has to work. So get me one. And so she was my first sale actually. And so we ordered her machine and we got hooked up in her house. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And her health challenge went away, literally. And so I thought, So of course my son comes over. I'm here in my home office and I hear the garage door go up and he comes over for lunch because his office was closer to my house than to his. And he came over here for lunch. And so of course he flies in the kitchen door and I'm meeting him because I hear the garage door go up and I'm meeting him there and he goes and sees the water machine at the sink and he goes, what are we doing? And I said, oh my gosh, this has already helped your sister. And isn't this the greatest thing ever? And I know it's going to help you with your skin condition and da-da-da. And he goes, mother. And I said, hang on a second. If this works for your challenge, I'm quitting my job. I was in finance for 100 years and I love numbers, needless to say. But if this works on your condition, I'm quitting my job and going full time with this company. You can't do that. You're going to lose the house. You're going to lose the cars. You're going to lose and I'm like, I appreciate your confidence, but here you go. And so I showed him how to work the machine because I knew I wouldn't be home all the times when he would come over. And so he started drinking it. And a couple of weeks later, again, I was so enamored of this business. I wasn't paying much attention. But all of a sudden he comes over again and I'm here because I told him that you have to get fresh water every 2 or 3 days, which was easy because he was here. And he walks in and I said, "Oh my gosh, I forgot to ask, how is everything?" And he looks at me and he goes, "Well, everything's perfect, but it can't be your dumb water." And I said, "What?" And he goes, "Mother, it can't be your dumb water. I fixed my this and changed my that and did my something." And I said, "Perfect." I said, "Effective immediately, you're cut off." And he goes, "What?" And I said, "Effective immediately, you're cut off. If I'm going to quit my job and do this business full time, I got to know that this works on the people I want to help the most, which is you and your sister." And so 3 days later, and I'm talking 3 days, 1, 2, 3 days later, I get a text, "Get me one of those things." And the rest is history. And so my two kids were my first two sales, which is pretty awesome. And I'm thrilled to be able to help other people. Again, we don't cure, treat, diagnose anything. It's just water. But I have definitely seen the results: alkaline acid imbalance, pH levels, all those things. And again, please go to Google Scholar to learn more about it. But Miracles with Water is my DBA.
I love that. I love that. So, Kathy, it sounds like that might have been the beginning of why you did the 2-week free water,
Absolutely.
right? I mean, what a great way to do it. Just try it. You don't like it, no
Yeah.
big deal, right?
Well, that is definitely the deal. The business model for our company, especially pre-COVID, but also for lots of people starting out, is you get a 2-week trial of Kangen water. And that's usually what a lot of the reps do, just because, of course, like with me, what does it taste like? What does the machine look like? How do you this and how do you that? Which is normal questions. The good news is my company is global. We're in 25 countries now. And you don't have to try it to see about it because there's a 30-day return policy. In 16 years doing this full time, I've actually never had a return. So, needless to say, people, once they get their machine, it's like, "Give me more. Let's go to the water workshop," all that stuff. I have those once a month. But pre-COVID, every 3 or 4 days, you come over here and get water. And I keep track, of course, how long people have been here. And once the 2 weeks is up, I said, "Okay, it's time to order your machine now." It takes about 7 to 10 business days. So let's get that done. And of course, I give them the water till their machine gets delivered. And that's the business model. Now, as I said, the good news is people do the research now and they don't have to try the water before they get their machine, especially with the 30-day return policy. And the company is genius, in my opinion. And several of our larger cities have store locations, and many of them you have to always call ahead because of the COVID thing. Everything was shut down, and giving away free water was probably not a great idea during COVID from a standpoint of people and all of that. You had to make an appointment if you wanted to go into the offices. And so now post COVID, it's not quite as stringent when you go to one of the actual stores, one of the water stores in America. So there's so many things that have changed now. I don't know if you remember that. So many things have changed now, but it really is an awesome thing that people find you on the internet. They see my videos on YouTube. They definitely check out my website, the QR code, all of those things. And many times we get to have a Zoom chat, and the rest, as they say, is God.
Yes, God, absolutely. Dear, that is amazing. Just it's just so fun to hear the stories and to know those various factors that come in. Because I think all of us, and this kind of goes back to networking, we
Yes.
only want to I only want to spend my money with people that I know, like, and trust. And I've now heard that so much: know, like, and trust. You feel like you're just like blabbing it, right?
Blah, 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 blah,
Yeah,
blah,
but
blah.
it is so true. I mean, why would I want to, just spend the money with somebody I don't? I want relationships, and I know that's exactly what you. As a matter of fact, I recall that I had to finally say, "Okay, Kathy, so come on, tell me a little bit about the water," because you're so not pushy or any of that stuff. It's like, okay, you're talking about it, and we've been doing stuff together for months. Like, would you now? It's time. Tell me about the water. Get out. Give me the bottom line. And I'm not like Kathy in that I don't have to have every darn detail in the world. I probably should ask for a few more details along the way. But that thing of purchasing products from somebody that I trust her implicitly, when she says this or that, and I was in the time where I did get to do the the water thing, trying the water, I guess. And it really does have a better taste. I'm just saying it does. I've got mine in my house. A little thing you probably don't know, Kathy, because I don't think I've divulged this really important information. My kitchen setup is just not conducive to my machine. However, I am not going to be without my water. So it is downstairs in the family room. And every morning, Bill goes down and fills up my water bag and brings it up to use for the day. And then I go back and get some more later. So there's no obstacle that you can't overcome if you want to have the water. So
That is exactly right, Delinda. And I actually, I have one, two, I'm trying to think now of local folks in Kansas City, but I think I have 3 machines that are actually installed in bathrooms, and they're very, for me, easy to do. There's lots of adapters and different parts and things that you can get. But the rest of the story is I've now had, during my 16 years, I've had a couple people. One lady met me at a networking event and met me at a networking event and met me at a networking event. And finally she goes, hello, can I see this machine that you keep talking about? And can I drink the water? And I said, absolutely. She comes over to my house. I'm setting up all the stuff for the demo. I'm getting ready to drop the drops and show her the meter and why the water works and blah, blah, blah. She took a sip. She goes, great. We're doing this. And she goes, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, but I don't need your dog and pony show. If you like it, you've got it, you're doing it. I want one. Can we just go with that? And I was like, because my brain is going, I'm a skeptic times a million, and I wanted every single I dotted and T crossed. She goes, I don't care. If you have one, I want one. Can we go with that? And I thought, oh my gosh. And then I had another gentleman, and I remember this vividly. I was on my way to an ABWA meeting, American Business Women Association. And I know you were a member of that too, Delinda. And all of a sudden the doorbell rings, and I said, what's up? Like, what's the matter? He had come over for the water for a while, and different challenges happened in his life structurally. And all of a sudden he comes over and he goes, hi, I wanted to come and get my water machine now. And I said, what? And he goes, those circumstances changed and I'm ready to get my water machine now. And I said, that's all. Let's just do it. And I thought, oh my gosh. And of course I said, I'm on my way to a meeting. I would love to help you. See, he said, we can do it over the phone. I just wanted to let you know I'm ready. And I said, okay. And so I think about those all the time. And back to the put me in the path of someone who needs me. You can't outgive God. And when we're actually laying all those foundations, it's amazing when God goes, okay, it's time. Go. Boom. Catherine, are you listening? And I'm just like, OMG. So Delinda, I'm just telling you, you can't outgive God.
So true. So, we've heard about how you have your faith. Your faith is who you are. And I think sometimes the people who are looking outside, or they're wondering about us Christians, they're watching us all the time. And I think when you come to that understanding that our faith is who we are, I'm not just a Christian on Sunday or whatever day you worship. You're not just a Christian. It infiltrates your whole being. It's how you look at life, how Jesus is love. I mean, if you don't know anything else, the way Jesus loved people is how we are to love others. And so as we love each other and respect each other, our faith is who we are. And you can't separate it. It's like, well, here's my faith person over here, and here's my water person over here. No, we're just all the same. Just one human being that's filled with Christ. So
I agree with that too. I will say that faith for me is a journey, and he's not finished with me yet, apparently. And every time I stumble or end up in the wrong crowd, or however that works, all of a sudden I almost see like a fishing rod, and he goes, come on back, come on back, come on back, like this, because life is not a bowl of cherries. At least it has not been for me. And all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh. And I have not lost focus, but it is amazing when you put him first, not perhaps second or third or 10th, because you've got other things to do today that you're going to work on. Then all of a sudden, when you put him first, you don't have to worry about the rest. And it really is awesome. He's got a sense of humor. Oh my goodness. And he's definitely loving and forgiving. And I'm so grateful for the times that the journey has not been easy. He took every step and took it for good.
And when you've lived that, when you've lived through that multiple times, and if you've lived very long at all, you are going to have what we call life, just life, people that you love that pass away, illnesses, all of those things. But when you have the Lord in you, when you have your faith, that's what carries you through those times. And then when you're not in those times, I really believe it's what we're doing in those times of rest or when there's no challenges going on that are filling us up to be able to handle so that when we get there, we know he's always there. We always have that consistency of knowing that he's just always there. He's got our back. And the more we let him drive the bus, the better it is.
You see what I mean? I feel that book is gurgling around there, and he's going to go, okay, now go.
Now it's time. Yeah. So as we begin to finish up here a little bit, what message of encouragement or hope would you give to any of our listeners out there?
Continue to surround yourself with people who lift you higher. And that always works for me. If someone makes you feel not so great about yourself, that might be a nice time to disconnect. And I feel that people are in our lives for a season, sometimes a reason, and it's not a forever thing with every single person every single time. So stick around the folks that lift you higher. And if someone makes you feel not so great about yourself, that might be a prayer. Is this a disconnect? Is this a season? Is the reason past? Do I need to move forward without them in my life? And so stick around the folks that lift you higher. And I'm here doing that with Delinda Lane.
And it is wonderful. Who we surround ourselves with is so critical. It really is, to our growth, to our happiness, to our joy. And I love that, because there are times when we do have to release those other relationships because whatever, like I said, it's for a season, and you may be past that season in your life, and then God's moving you for other people. I mean, he's got other wonderful opportunities waiting for us out there, the blessings. So don't be afraid to do that. And sometimes it's painful, but he will take you through. If you have to have some of those disconnects, he will replace it. He will bring other people in your life that are going to take you to the next level that he's bringing you to. I mean, he's the one lifting us up. So as he takes us on that journey, and we're all on a journey. And I would suggest to y'all, if you look at your life, and if you'll look through and go back a little ways, and this is not to rehash old stuff, this is to see the hand of God. And if you start back and you start looking, just naming those things of importance in your life, sometimes it's not the big birthdays. Sometimes it's other little ahas of where God has met you when you were down, or when you were having financial issues, or whatever that looks like. Look at that, for that thread, for the hand of God, and how he has woven himself within your life. And then when you hit one of those walls, it's like, okay, Lord, I remember how you were with me through this and through that. I know you're going to carry me through again. It's that knowing, by seeing his consistency and his unconditional love, that then you can move forward.
I agree 100%. And with him driving the bus, those wheels never stop turning.
Yeah, like woohoo. That's great. Well, Cathy, thank you. Thank you so much for being here and sharing, just sharing your heart, all your information. You really are a wonderful example to a lot of people. You're very involved. You have a great sphere of influence. And as they watch you walk your faith, it is an encouragement to them and to everybody else. And I know it's not you. I know it's God in you, but thank you for allowing him to let you be the instrument for it.
I appreciate you asking me to be on this show. I am so excited for your success journey, my friend. Podcasts are the name of the game, and who better than Delinda Lane to have a Let's Chat podcast.
Oh, thank you so much, Cathy. Bye, everybody. Thank you all so much for being here, and God bless you indeed. Bye now. Hi there. Thank you so much for watching or listening to our Let's Chat podcast. I hope that it has ministered to you. I hope you feel uplifted and encouraged after watching the show. But it occurred to me that maybe you might not know what we're talking about. Maybe you're not a believer. Maybe you're not a Christian, and you don't really understand what we're talking about when we talk about God being with you holding your hand, having your back, walking this life with you. So I just wanted to give this little message to you and let you know that Jesus loves you absolutely 100% unconditionally. That is great news, right? John 3:16 tells us, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only son, that whosoever," that means you, "whosoever believes in him will not perish but have everlasting life." And you can put your name in that and just know that for God so loved you that he gave his son so that you can have eternal life. So you can have a life knowing that you're not alone, that you're not by yourself, and that there's a God who loves you unconditionally. That's the biggest message of being a Christian. That's what believing is all about. That's that faith of having someone, having the God Almighty holding your hand as you walk through life. If you have any questions about that, I would love to chat with you. You can get a hold of me. My information is right here on the page. Keep in mind about this. God created the world for us, for all of humans. He made it beautiful and perfect. We all stumbled. Adam and Eve were disobedient in the garden. You know that story, I'm sure. But God knew that he would need to send his son to die on the cross and rise again. And if you believe that, maybe you've never made a profession of faith. Maybe you've never just said, "Lord, come into my heart." That's all it takes. It's just a decision. The best decision you could ever make, I might add. But when you make a decision for Jesus, it's all about just saying, "Lord, I know I'm a sinner. I cannot handle all this on my own. I need you. Come into my heart and let me walk this journey with you." So that's it. Just say yes. Say yes to Jesus. Say any prayer you want that just acknowledges that you're a sinner and you need help and you want him to live in your heart. It's that easy. So again, let me know if you need any help, if you have any questions, because I would love to be here to walk this journey with you. Take care, my sweet friends, and believe that God loves you.